My name is Jennifer Nelson. I am running for District Court Judge in the 56th Circuit. I've been practicing for 17 years, and I've never run for public office. This is the first time I've ever put my name in for any type of election. I'm running a grassroots campaign for the most part, and I am most interested in helping the children of the 4 counties that we cover. I became involved in district court as a guardian ad litem for children. I represent parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, great-grandparents, and all kinds of people who are giving care to the children in our counties. There are not enough caretakers out there. I was a foster parent at one time, and that's how I got my children, 2 of them, through the system, and it holds a special place for me. And I'm seeking your vote.
Question 1. Many citizens are not familiar with the cases that the district court has jurisdiction over. Please explain some of the cases that the district court has jurisdiction over.
District court covers not only misdemeanors and criminal offenses, and citations. It also handles dependency, abuse, and neglect, emergency protective orders, domestic violence orders, guardianship cases, probate, small claims, and child support and initial paternity actions. What most people don't realize, I believe, is how broad of a scope the district court actually has and how many families come before it on a regular basis. If there's a report from a neighbor or social services or an individual, if they file an allegation of neglect or abuse, that goes to the district court. And at that time, the judge has to decide, is the child going to go to a relative, going to go to what's now called fictive kin, that's someone who is not a relative but so close to the child that they are practically related. We're seeing more and more neighbors taking on children. Those cases are a big part of district court, and to me they're the most important part because they impact so many families, and so many people are stepping up to take care of the kids that have been neglected and abused. Guardianship, on the tail end of that, guardianship cases, we want to make sure that the people who are giving care to our elderly or our special needs individuals are actually caring for them in a way that's proper. In my cases, in my private practice, I often go to the homes of the caretakers, the guardians, and they're usually surprised to see me there, but I want to make sure that the person who has applied for this role is actually going to do what they say they're going to do, which is to provide not just food and housing, but I want to make sure their quality of life is good. And I want to make sure that they're not fighting over who's getting grandma's money. I want this to actually be about taking care of a person. So that's what district court is about.
Question 2. What could you do as a district judge to help address the ever-increasing drug problem facing the 56th Judicial District?
For that question, I wish I had a magic wand instead of a gavel. There are two things, education and accountability. If we don't understand addiction and how it works, I don't think we can ever come up with any solutions. There's no family that I know of that hasn't been impacted with drugs or alcoholism, substance abuse. It is an epidemic, and the first thing to do is understand what it is. Education, accountability. I do believe that addiction is a mental disease or defect, but I also believe that it is treatable. And that means anybody can get help, anybody can recover, but they have to be able to put down the shovel and start working whatever steps they need to work, because it's different for each person. So they have to work their program and they have to get better. As far as what can we do, we've done a lot of good things. We already have drug court in place. We have drug testing now available on site. We didn't have that for a long time. I know on our domestic dependency, abuse, and neglect docket on Mondays, they have drug testing available right there. And all of those, what I was talking about earlier with the dependency, abuse, and neglect, substance abuse, they overlap. And it's necessary in all of it, from the criminal to the domestic violence to the abuse and neglect. They overlap, and we have to make sure that we have programs available. I do want to say, though, that Casey's Law is another program that we have available, and I have done Casey's Law cases, and they're hard. They're not hard because anybody disputes that the individual needs treatment. We can all agree that the individual needs treatment, except for sometimes the individual, him or herself, but they're expensive. The facilities that run the programs, if you're asking for a person to go to a facility, the person who is the petitioner has to be able to pay for it if the party doesn't have insurance. So if there's a mom and dad out there who want to get help for their son or daughter, if they don't have the money to pay for a private treatment facility and the son or daughter doesn't have insurance that will pay for them to do in-house treatment, then they're in a bind. Everybody may agree that they want them to get help, but they can't afford to send them to some of these very expensive treatment facilities. So that is a problem. There are some good programs out there that are free of charge, and we are getting more information about them and getting them out to the public. So again, it goes back to education and accountability and making sure that if we're educated about it and they keep making the same mistakes, there has to be some accountability on that end. It's a very difficult question.
Question 3. What do you see as a major problem or problems facing the courts? And what actions would you recommend to the executive, legislative, or even judicial branch to help solve this issue or issues?
Well, as I told you before, I've never run for public office, so I surely am not running to be a lawmaker. As far as what I would like to see, though, is more continuity. On Mondays, we have dependency, abuse, and neglect cases here. We also have some criminal arraignments. On Wednesday, we have domestic violence cases. And then on the first Friday of the month, there might be a couple going through a divorce. In cases involving kids and domestic violence, on Monday, social services may be involved in the abuse and neglect. On Wednesday, we have EPOs and DVOs, but social services isn't involved. And there's a different judge on Monday than there is on Wednesday. And then on Friday, we have a circuit court judge that may rule completely different. I think there needs to be a continuity there. So when you ask what I would do, I wish we had a family court. We've had lots of good judges in the past, and we have good judges now. So they're able to make good decisions, and I trust them. But a family court would offer us that continuity of one family, one judge. Most of the counties around here do have family court, and they're able to see the progress. They're able to see from one place to the next what's happening. And if a person has several, say, DUIs or other substance abuse issues that we were talking about, and goes to a program and then takes that same piece of paper and tries to turn it in for domestic violence counseling, there's no continuity. They're not getting that help. The other program that I do like is batterers intervention. It is a more intensive program than just go to anger management or go see a therapist. The batterers intervention program is something they are doing in other counties, and I believe it's helped with domestic violence. I'd like to see social services come to our court for domestic violence. And I also want to go ahead and point out that there are times when domestic violence orders, emergency protective orders, and DVOs can save lives. But there are other times that I've seen them used as a weapon against people for reasons from custody to I'm just mad at someone. And so I don't want anybody to get the impression that I think everyone needs an emergency protective order, because I don't. I think there are certain criteria that needs to be met, and I don't think the system should be abused. And I think there should be repercussions for people who abuse that system, because it's in place to save lives, and I don't like it's being abused by anyone. But if we could ask, back to where I was on social services, if we could ask social services to come to DV court, that would help with the continuity. Engaging local providers, I think, is also important, just as far as what we can do for any improvement. It's hard when we do providers that are far away. That's going to just take more community outreach and really being integrated in our community.
And in closing, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I said before, I've never run for anything, and it's because there's never been a position that I wanted. This job is so much more than just accepting pleas or signing agreements. It requires more insight. It requires more real life, just real life experience. It requires someone who can look at people and understand what they're going through. People who can say, I've been there, or if I haven't been there, at least one of my family members have, or I'm willing to listen. And we have good people in our 56th Circuit. So I've been very pleased that we've had those from the bench. And I do want to follow on in that tradition and be able to meet people from all 4 counties and help in whatever way I can. This job is about public service, and that's how I see it, and that's what I hope to do. Thank you.
Jennifer, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Matt Schalk, and I am presently running for District Court Judge for the 56th Judicial Circuit.
Question 1. Many citizens are not familiar with the cases that the District Court has jurisdiction over. Please explain some of the cases that the District Court has jurisdiction over.
Well, the District Court in the 56th Judicial Circuit is comprised of 4 counties: Lyon, Livingston, Trigg, and Caldwell. Predominantly, the cases that are handled are civil cases up to $5,000, small claims court cases up to $2,500. Small claims is for individuals that don't necessarily want to or can afford to hire an attorney to handle it themselves. The biggest part of the docket in all the counties is the criminal and traffic docket. Misdemeanor crimes are adjudicated in district court. Felonies pass through district court only for purposes of a preliminary hearing, which is a probable cause hearing. Felonies are on their way up to circuit court. Other areas are probate matters and estates, persons that pass away and have an estate or a will, or assets or a will. Those are settled or disposed of according to certain rules, and the district court oversees that. Juvenile matters, including crimes committed by minors or juveniles, and also dependency, neglect, and abuse actions regarding minor children. Disability trials are also handled for people that are unable to take care of their own needs. They're wholly disabled and in need of a guardian. Lastly, ordinances and code violations are also handled in district court.
Question 2. What could you do as district judge to help address the ever-increasing drug problem facing the 56th Judicial District?
I believe that drugs are the scourge in our society, both nationally and locally. If drugs were eliminated, I bet the dockets in our court system would be cut by at least half. There are so many of the cases that are drug-related in one way or another. Tackling this problem, I think, starts with Congress passing effective laws. I think law enforcement and prosecutors in our counties are doing a great job, an outstanding job. I think it's important for judges to recognize and support their efforts while also recognizing the constitutional rights of all. During my career as a private attorney, I've seen far too many young people with criminal records that are drug-related. I think judges as leaders in the community, both on and off the bench, need to encourage rehabilitation to get young people away from the drugs and also support efforts to educate kids before they go down that destructive path.
Question 3. What do you see as a major problem or problems facing the courts, and what actions would you recommend to the executive, legislative, or even judicial branch to help solve this issue or issues?
Let me first say that the court system in the 56th Judicial Circuit operates very, very well. We have great judges, we have great prosecutors, and talented attorneys, both appointed and private. Internally, I really don't believe the court system has major problems. Externally, I think, again, the drug problem is the major problem that faces the court system. It isn't only the social cost, it's also a financial cost to the taxpayers. What suggestions I would make to our state government: stay the course, continue to work hard on drug reform. A recent bill was passed in the House to toughen penalties regarding the drug fentanyl. So I think Congress is actually working on the problem. I would just continue to support their efforts.
And in closing, is there anything else you'd like to add?
In closing, I would like to say that my background is conservative and Christian. The motto of my campaign is common sense first. I believe my purpose on earth, God's purpose for me, is to serve my fellow human beings to the best of my ability, using my talents and tools, my education and my experience. Everything that I've gotten, He has given me. By helping others, we show our love for God. Thank you.
Mr. Shaw, thank you for your time.
I'm Brandon Noth, and I'm excited to be a candidate for the office of District Judge. I was born and raised in this district, and I've lived here my whole life. It is a great place to live and raise a family. I'm a graduate of Lyon County High School and earned my bachelor's degree from Western Kentucky University. After college, I married Brandy Hughes from Princeton, and today we have 3 daughters, ages 21, 17, and 10. After earning my law degree from the University of Louisville, Brandy and I moved back home, right here to Western Kentucky, and I started my law practice right here in this judicial district. It's hard to believe it's already been 20 years. During my career, I've had the privilege of serving as Lyon County Attorney for 8 years, during which I handled thousands of cases in district court. I also had the opportunity to take many trials to jury verdict while maintaining one of the highest DUI conviction rates in the state of Kentucky. Each week, I got to work alongside some great judges, and I learned much from them throughout those years. In 2018, Judge Woodall appointed me as Lyon County Master Commissioner. And just earlier this month, Judge James Redd reappointed me in that role. I appreciate the confidence and trust they've placed in my abilities to serve as Master Commissioner. For the past 2 decades, my law practice has been focused in district court, in all areas of the district court. In fact, I've handled every type of case from both sides of the courtroom, representing both plaintiffs and defendants. No other candidate has that experience, and I believe that makes me the most qualified candidate for the office of District Judge. All right, I'm ready.
Question 1. Many citizens are not familiar with the cases that the district court has jurisdiction over. Please explain some of these cases that the district court has jurisdiction over.
The district court has jurisdiction over both criminal and civil cases. The most common civil cases heard in the district court are the administration of estates and probate of wills, small claims and civil disputes up to $5,000, as well as domestic violence cases. On the criminal side, the district court presides over juvenile matters, traffic offenses, misdemeanors, felony arraignments, and felony probable cause hearings. Over the last 20 years, my area of practice has covered all of those areas.
Question 2. What could you do as district judge to help address the ever-increasing drug problem facing the 56th Judicial District?
Drug addiction is not just a Western Kentucky problem. It's a problem across our state and our country. I think our judges have done a good job of striking a balance between punishing the crime, but also affording the opportunity to treat the addiction itself. I think courts should encourage treatment for those individuals who want it and need it. But I also think the courts should err on the side of caution when it comes to the public's safety. Repeat offenders, drug dealers, violent offenders need to be kept away from our community and children. As district court judge, I would give the opportunity to deserving individuals, keeping our public safety as a priority.
Question 3. What do you see as a major problem or problems facing the courts, and what actions would you recommend to the executive, legislative, or even the judicial branch to help solve this issue or issues?
I think one of the biggest problems our courts face today is the access to justice for the public. The wheels of justice grind slowly. It is not uncommon for a civil case to take years to work its way through the court system. That's expensive for people to endure, and oftentimes they're not able to afford to have their day in court. Then they lose hope and faith in our justice system. On the criminal side, we have defendants sitting in jail for 6 months or a year waiting for a trial date. The legislature has taken the first step to try to address this problem by giving us a Second Circuit judge position, which starts next year. And I believe that will help clear our dockets. But I feel like more needs to be done. There are other supporting actors and offices besides the judge that make our system work. Our clerk's offices, our public defenders, our jailers who have to transport inmates to every court docket are going to be stretched even further than they are. I would like to see more resources and funding available to make our courts more accessible to the public. Our courts are here for the people, and they should be able to have access and have their day in court and be able to afford it.
And in closing, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I want to thank the Banner for taking the time and putting in the work to showcase all the candidates across this county. I also want to say thank you to all those who've encouraged and supported me through this journey. I am thankful and humbled to have such great friends and supporters. The best part of going through a campaign is getting to meet good people across this district, and it's chocked full of them. It's the people that makes Western Kentucky such a special place to live. Over the past few months, I've seen the true resilience and heart of our community firsthand. It has inspired me to want to serve and give back because I've been given so much. Over the past 20 years, I have practiced law on both sides of the courtroom. It gives me a unique perspective and skill set, which I believe makes me the most qualified candidate for district judge. It is with these qualifications and experiences that I offer my services to the members of the bar and the citizens of this district. I am running for district judge because of my passion for the law and the love I have for my community. I am from this district, and I will work hard for this district. And I ask for your vote on May 17th.
Mr. Noth, thank you for your time.
Thank you.